Mrs. Bobby Hull. Mrs. Joanne Hull.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Joanne. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good. And standing right in front of the picture that we talked about just a couple of weeks ago here in Chicago. Tell me a little bit about this one. Why did you paint it?
Actually, Jim, this painting started out to be a gift for Mr. Wirtz, the owner of the Blackhawks and our boss. And one day I take my youngsters in to see his secretary, Mrs. Knowles, every time that they come to the game. She has a bag of peanuts and so forth. And we were talking, and she suggested that he might like something like that for his office. And so I painted it. And at the time the day I brought it home, Bob was on a road trip. And he came home that night and saw it sitting on our desk at about 3 o'clock in the morning and decided it was just for him. So I'm afraid Mr. Wirtz will have to wait till I paint the next one.
Well, maybe you can get a reproduction or a copy. You can have some prints made.
I'm going to try.
Is this the type of painting you like to do, Joanne? Is this the style you favor?
Well, it's not really the style, Jim, I like. I tried to get it as impressionist as I could and as loose as I could, but portraits are hard, at least for me to do. And I tried to loosen it up quite a bit, but it's still a portrait, and I find them very difficult.
Let's talk a little bit about how you started. We take another look over here at one of the more impressionistic things that you've done. How did you get started? Have you studied this before?
I started about 4 years ago, Jim. Bob was on the road, of course, a great deal, and not that I wasn't busy enough with 3 young sons, but I wanted to do something, and my brother is a professional artist in California, and I saw him do it and decided I could do it, and I've been at it ever since. And this is the type of the style, my style of painting, this style here, impressionist.
Tell me about this. Is that one of the boys?
Well, it started out to be one of the boys. My boys are all tow-headed and about that age. And it got a little semi-abstracted there and turned out to be just a boy.
I saw one of the boys here today at the game. It must be an interesting family type affair to come and watch Dad on the ice. What kind of reaction do they have, especially when he gets hurt or is in a bit of a jam?
Jim, they're characters, really they are. A gentleman with us today commented that Bobby Hull had his own cheering section. But when they were little, we used to bring them, and we used to joke. They used to come to eat, hamburgers, Coke, popcorn, anything that they could, mother'd buy for them. But now they're pretty good. Bobby sits on the lap of one of our gentlemen who guards the door for the Blackhawks, and he keeps score. Actually, he writes down who gets the goal, who gets the assist, and he's quite good. And our youngest, Brett, he's 3. He cheers for Stan Mikita, so...
How do they react, Joanne, when Dad's in trouble on the ice? Do they take it personally, or do they look at him as a hockey player?
Well, they really get a little upset. They've only seen him once get into a fight. But other than that, they're pretty good. They just cheer and take it like, almost like it would be a movie or something.
Yeah. They all talk about hockey at all, about playing? Do they think they might? They're young, I know.
Oh, they're all going to be hockey players, they say. I don't know. Down here in the States, there isn't, of course, the training for youngsters in the minor hockey league, leagues like there are in Canada. But they're coming along now, so they're going to start playing next year in the little leagues, so they may yet turn out to be hockey players.
Tell me about how Mama feels about this. When Bobby's on the road, it must seem like an awful long time. You watch the television, listen to the radio broadcast of the games, I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
Is there a bit of worry and concern?
Oh, yes, there is. There really is. Bob's had some very bad injuries, and I used to get very, very upset about it. And then one of the other wives, one of the older girls, I believe it was Glenn Hall, the goaltender for St. Louis, his wife told me that you just can't get so upset. You have to go to a lot of hockey games, and I'd be a nervous wreck. So I just took it, like I had explained before, like watching a movie. And I still find, though, some Boston games and other games, I get a little upset, especially if I'm home watching it or if I listen on the radio. Then I get very upset.
Do you ever get upset about the tactics against Bobby? They have a tendency, of course, to gang up on Bob, to put 2 men on him at a time, anytime they can to slow him down.
Yes, Jim, that's one of my pet peeves. That's a sore point with me. I really think it's not fair to Bob and not fair to the game of hockey. It really isn't. And it slows up the game, and the fans can't really see a good game of hockey.
Bobby talks occasionally, as a matter of fact, he talks more and more than occasionally about retiring to the farm one of these days. Would you like to be a farm wife?
I'd love it. I really would. I enjoy it. We're only up in the summers now, but I really do like it. I think country life is marvelous, and it's going to be wonderful for my boys, and I'm really looking forward to the day when we can be full-time farmers.
Until that day, Joanne, do you think that this has helped the boys at all? The fact that they're living in Chicago and spend some time in Canada and get to travel around a little bit, is it good for them?
Well, Jim, at first I didn't think it was going to be. I thought, oh, you know how they talk about security for children and so forth, and I thought, you know, they'd be moved around too much, but they're pretty well-adjusted boys, and now this is the first year that Bobby's in school. He's in first grade, my 6-year-old, and so we'll stay here now till the end of the school year. I will. I think Bob will be up to the farm about a month early, but it'll all work out.
Some pretty well-adjusted boys with some pretty well-adjusted parents from the National Hockey League. Joanne, thank you very much. We'll return with more hockey to Chicago Stadium in just a moment.